What if the goal could just be to be average? What if the goal could be to lower our expectations a little bit and not always keep climbing and chasing and doing and being? And the world we live in tells us we always have to have a better thing, the next best thing, the next new thing. And I think because we've applied a universal definition of success that so many of us don't fit into. Question: what if our pursuit for this version of success and living the most extraordinary life that is always better than the day before, that we always have to keep working towards, that is never good enough, that never allows us to just be where we are, is actually damaging? And it's not what we should be chasing. You see, I don't think the model of success that we'd inherited is built on helping us live a good life. I think it's built on exceptionalism, on the idea that what you have isn't enough and you have to always be achieving and striving for the next thing. And I think it's built on the goal, but there will always be another goal. I think it's built on telling you that once you achieve one thing, you have to get the next. And this is why so many of us millennials especially are tired, are exhausted, are questioning what has happened, are wondering why we've done all the right things and it just hasn't worked. Like, give us a break. And I also think there's a different way out. I think there's a new possibility, and I think it's easier than you are being led to believe. And it's this: what if the goal could just be to be average? What if the goal could be to lower our expectations a little bit and not always keep climbing and chasing and doing and being and, not trying to have the next best big thing? We live in a world where everything is at our fingertips, where, consumerism is high. I kid you not, in between, I'm doing a lot of filming today. In between filming, I picked up my phone, jumped on Instagram, and it's Amazon's sale or something, I don't know. And I'm clicking through and I'm like, oh, I could buy that and I could buy this. Like, but why? Why do I feel like I need to buy that? Because the world we live in tells us we always have to have a better thing, the next best thing, the next new thing. Now I'm pretty switched on. Like, I caught myself in that thinking trap straight away and I was like, put it down. But so many of us aren't aware and don't do that. And I think because we've applied a universal definition of success that so many of us don't fit into, we haven't actually done service to being human, because most lives by definition are pretty average, and that's okay. That doesn't mean we failed at everything. Like, my life's pretty average and I'm doing some great stuff. Let's be real. Like, I'm doing some great things, but lots of my life is average. Like, it's pretty mundane. It's not that exciting. And so what I want to gift to you in this episode might be quite radical, because people, let me tell you, no, everything has to be extraordinary and exceptional in life. You can have some things that are average. That's perfectly okay. And I hope that's what we start to build as we move into a new definition of success and thinking what success is like. Now, if you don't know me, my name's Amy Glean, and this podcast is all about rethinking success. So this episode could not be more important or more aligned to what we're talking about. Even though I'm saying the word average, even though I'm saying let your life be average, that there's a certain politics and ethics around the idea of average. There's a certain way of thinking around average that is unexplored, and I want to take us there. I want to take us away from thinking life is about the next best thing and the next goal, being extraordinary and always having to do better than what you did before, or the day before, or your friends, or your siblings, or your cousins, or what your parents did. Like, it doesn't have to be like that. I mean, if that was the path to happiness, then many of us should be happy, and we're not. So let's be real, that something about what we're building just isn't working. And that a thought experiment I want you to take on. Here it is. Imagine a world where everyone pursued the extraordinary, where every person every day was orientated towards being above average, standing out, achieving more than those around them. By definition, mathematically, literally, that world cannot exist, because average becomes part of it. Now, average is not failure. It's actually where most human life exists, and it's actually where our day-to-day life mostly happens. And so I want to make a case that until we build a world where ordinary and average is genuinely enough, then we haven't actually solved the problem we think we're solving. Because all we're doing is telling people to optimize. And optimizing is not the solution to a world where people are already tired, exhausted, feeling like they're trying hard enough, doing all they can. We don't need to be told to optimize anything else. We need to be told that it's okay we average in certain parts of our life. And I think that's freedom. I think that is one of the most powerful things we can do right now. Embrace the power of being average. Let that be enough. Know what season you're in, lock in those seasons, and just let other things be okay. Like, we don't all have to be exceptional at everything all the time. We are constantly doing that. We're constantly seeing this in the self-narrative of we're not good enough, we're not trying hard enough, we're not working hard enough, we've got to set new goals and more goals and do the next big thing and get the next house and the next holiday and the next financial promotion and all of these things. Like, do we really? I'm a big believer now at knowing you're enough. At knowing you're enough. Now I'll share a story with you around income and finances, a personal story, a moment I had in the shower, very vulnerable moment. I actually haven't said this to anyone out loud, so why not put it on the podcast? More than a couple of years ago, I started doing this work and have a business. It wasn't intentional. I fell into it. People often say, oh, you had burnout, so that must be why you left corporate. No. I wrote a book. People liked it. I got asked to do some work. That's pretty cool. When I first started, I was obsessed with making multi-six figures, seven figures. I thought that would put me at the top of a pedestal. Whose pedestal? I don't know. I thought that everyone would be like, oh, wow, she's made it. Look how successful she is. I thought my life would be, blissful once I got to that point. Now, it's nearly the end of financial year. So when I'm looking at my finances this year compared to last year and the year before, I'm going to tell you something. My finances on paper in terms of income are not as high as what they were a couple of years ago. But here's where I'm rich. I am so much more rich in life now than a couple of years ago when I was making double what I made this year. And this is why. Because a couple of years ago, when my income was double what it is this year, I did over 100 flights. I was on the road all of the time. I was never home. I was super stretched in terms of capacity. I was paying a team an exorbitant amount of money. I was paying myself, but not as steadily as I am now. I had an extreme amount of expenses just to keep doing what I'm doing because I travel a lot. Travel is expensive. There's a lot that comes with that. But I didn't think I was very rich in life. I didn't have a calm nervous system. I didn't have space in my day. I didn't have time where I was at home there were times where I wasn't at home at all for a week within an 8 to 10 week block. I was on the road once a week for 8 to 10 weeks at a time. Now I'm at home for 2 to 3 weeks at a time, or I can look at my calendar and go, oh, I've got some space. I'm going to go and visit family. I rarely set an alarm. I pick and choose when I work, a couple of hours a day here and there. And some days I'm quite busy. I am traveling. I am working a lot. I am far richer now than I was a couple of years ago with life. Because I've rethought what success looks like. It is not about having this huge income from a company level that allows me to say, oh, I made 7 figures. I'm not interested in that anymore. It's actually about knowing that this is enough for me and I can be average in some areas and I can be great in some areas, but I know what enough looks like and I know when to push and I know when to stop. And it links to the last episode of knowing what success is. So where is the average and where is enough? Like, that has to be the driver of it, because I still had the mindset of constantly chasing and I have to make more money each year and I have to, go multi-6 figures and I have to hit that 7-figure or I'm never going to be seen as successful. Like, who knows? I don't think podcasters or people that run businesses are talking about how much money they make. I'm just telling you because I'm quite open and comfortable in being transparent around these things, because I think, how do we actually get to rethink things if we aren't listening to people sharing their experiences? And if you've ever heard me speak or on a panel or as an MC, I just tell you all kinds of stuff. And if you haven't seen that, that's a really great fun experience for you. So think about how you can get in a room with me or book me or have me MC at your event. Trust me, you'll get this version of Amy. This is pretty much it. But this idea of always being better is the one thing that doesn't allow us to enjoy life. And so one of the reasons I wanted to share that story with you is because I'm enjoying life far more than I ever have before. And it's because I decided average is okay. Like, this is enough for me. And sometimes even when I say that, I'm like, oh, does that mean you're lowering your standards? Oh, does that mean you don't have goals? No, I absolutely have goals. But you know what? They're just not set on how much money I make. So I can be like, oh, I made 7 figures. Like, put that down. I mean, maybe you want to, and maybe it's your thing, and maybe it is your goal, and maybe it gets you up in the morning. And if that's you, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying ask yourself, is that the thing? Now, some of you might be in the corporate world. Some of you might be employees. Some of you might be people that maybe do run your own businesses. I don't know. But whatever that version of it looks like for you, ask yourself, what is your thinking around that, and where does that attach to? And maybe it does, and maybe it doesn't. But that story is about sharing how sometimes we get caught up in thinking this is what success is, and this is why we have to keep working on X, Y, Z. And really, unless we pause and go, is that the life I want to live? We don't know. Yeah. And so we have built systems, whether it's education or workplaces, organizations, whether it's social media, that say average isn't enough. Like, I know some of you listening might be like, oh, I thought Amy would be like really chasing that. Because you have a perception of me, because you have a way of thinking about it, because you think, oh, or maybe you think, oh, she's not that successful because only people that make 7 figures is successful. Who says? Who says that? And this is because society says that is it, and this is not enough. And we have to start to interrogate. We have to start to question. We have to actually realize that this isn't just a systemic issue, it's an individual one if we subscribe to the systemic beliefs. And I think there are far better ways to be rich in life than to chase a version of success that we never designed or that you don't own. Like, I think be rich in life, but you decide what that is. You decide what success is. You decide what greatness is. You decide what enough is, and you decide what average is. Because if success isn't defined as being average, here's the thing. If success isn't defined as being average, then by definition, most people can't succeed. That's kind of what it's saying. Oh, Amy's not that successful because she hasn't made 7 figures, because that's what a successful entrepreneur is. That is just a story. And that doesn't actually have to be true, because the success model isn't fact. It isn't set. It isn't something that we have to follow. It actually requires us to consider it now that we know maybe that thing doesn't mean anything to us. And so even though it's not an explicit checklist we're handed or explicit things we're told, we have adopted these things, and it's even embedded into, if you're an educator, how you grade work, or how we rank people in our circle, or how we view people. Oh, they live in that house, so they must be more successful, or they dress like that, so they must be more successful, or they wrote this many books, so they must be more successful. None of that means any of that, just to be very clear. But it's how we reward people and recognize people, because we've made it so external. We've made it about what it looks like on the outside and not on the inside. And so this model, it's actually based on hierarchy with a story attached, and it's not okay. Because what we've done to the idea of an ordinary life, a simple life, an average life, an okay life, is we have developed shame around it. If you're average, if you're mediocre, if you're just, ordinary, then we've said that that's average. Like, why? And what are we doing when we pass down that message? Like, I think in education, we reward kids that get A's or that get the top band. We tell them that they're the best. But why are we saying that that's the enoughness? Because our academic focus says that that's how we value people. Well, what about the kids that are trying really hard, who are average, like a C grade, and we're saying that's not good enough? Yes, it is. Like, let's celebrate all of that. School tells us what success looks like and what's worth celebrating. It gets drilled into us from such a young age that average isn't good enough. Average is good enough. Let that be okay. Why is it that we have said that, if you're ordinary, you haven't tried hard enough, you got to keep going. If you're average, you got to want more things. If you're just living an average life, then you're not trying hard enough at it. Yes, I am. And this is what I'm choosing to do. Now, is this a recent cultural construct? Perhaps, but it also has existed many years ago in terms of saying that you are only successful and you are only wealthy and you are only worthy. If I think back to what I know about Egyptian history, I did write about it in terms of Egyptians, pharaohs, queens. They adorned themselves in clothing and gold and jewels and started building their burial sites and their tombs as soon as they were born. And the longer your tomb, the sign of a more successful, lengthy reign. And that was how people put you on a pedestal. And if you didn't have that, then you were seen as a peasant. And so we have adopted this version of grandness, of extraordinary life from history right up until now. That is external from us. And I think we need to actually challenge it. I don't think being ordinary should be seen as failure. And as we've done this, as we've said, if you're average, you're not good enough, we've reduced a whole number of people out there who are really trying at life but constantly sit with an inner dialogue that they're not doing a good enough job. They're doing a good enough job. It's actually completely unacceptable for everyone else to walk around and go, oh, you're not trying hard enough, you live in an average house, and you only wear average clothes, and you have an average career, and you don't make much money, and I know so-and-so, and they live in a better house. Like, I know we're not saying that to each other, but people are thinking it. That's not okay. Why do we have a society where we've said this is what is acceptable or not? I'm ranting on this, aren't I? Sorry, that's not what I thought we'd be doing, but we are. I can't help it. So the model we have, it does require rethinking, because the model we have actually creates this state of anxiety of like, am I doing enough? It creates comparison. Like, who's got it better? Who's doing it better? Who's doing more? It devalues certain roles or jobs because their income isn't high. Well, we don't set those things. They're set for us. How is that acceptable? And it produces environments where people feel inadequate, schools and workplaces especially, because the more you do, the more you make, the more you achieve, the more you come first, whether that's promotion or on paper, the better you're seen. And that's not actually okay. And so we have this like concentrated attention on performance, on investment, on recognition. That's so narrow, and we're missing a whole group of people, and then we're missing actually a life we could live. So what are we doing if all we're valuing is exceptional? If all we're valuing is more and more? Because here's what I think needs to happen. I just think we need to lower the bar a little bit. And I don't mean lower the bar in terms of you can't be high performing or be exceptional. Like, absolutely do that, but not in all areas of life. Not all the time. Why? It's a lowering of standards where it counts, and wondering where that actually counts for you. Because over time, the idea that it always has to be more has devalued a certain way of living, and it shouldn't be like that. It actually shouldn't be like that. The narrative around a happy and well successful life needs to shift to where perhaps a quiet life is successful, where a well-lived, meaningful, connected life is successful, where we hold this as generously and as genuinely as we do people sitting at the top of the career ladder, because why is one not seeing it as equal to the other? This idea that we can't live an ordinary life and let it be good enough has to be broken down. And so one of the reasons I'm really encouraging you to rethink what success is because I think it's okay to be average. I think it's okay. I just shared a really vulnerable story with you around being average in my income making at the moment, because I actually feel like it allows me to live a much richer, meaningful life. And we don't talk about these things enough. We constantly sit in a place of feeling like we've always got to do better. And who gets to define what better is? Because maybe the season of life you're in is actually not about having a bigger, better house. It's about downsizing so that you can have more time and freedom and money to spend on experiences with people you love. You know? Like, you get to decide what that is. And that doesn't mean that you're not trying hard enough. And so I think right now we're a fork in the road around where things head and where things go. And I need you to come with me on this. I need you to get on the path that I'm on. Because we can double down on exceptionalism. We can double down on things always having to be better. We can double down on set one goal and the next and buy a house and the next one and the career and then the promotion and then one income ladder and then get the next promotion and climb and climb. And we can double down on those things and optimizing our morning routines and the 5 a.m. club and all of the wellness hacks and go for your life on that if you want. Or we can start to build differently. We can take down those pieces and those beliefs and those structures brick by brick and ask, does it serve us anymore? Is it allowing us to live a happy and well life? Is it supporting us? Now, that's what I'm doing. And that's what I want to be doing with you individually, in your workplace, talking to people, because even though this part is harder, and believe me, it's hard for like a lot of reasons, identity, expectation, external perception from people, and we gotta work through some of that, because like it doesn't actually matter, we gotta work through that. It's also harder because we've been looking at the first one for so long. Like that's internally deep. And so even though it's harder, it's far more valuable, because trust me, my wall was very high in living an extraordinary life and what I thought would make me successful, happy, and well. And I can tell you, brick by brick, I pulled it down and it doesn't look the same anymore. I beat a new path. And there are times, even now, where I question it and I ask, am I working hard enough? But in the story I shared with you, you can see that's not about that. It's about knowing what rich looks like in the life you lead, and some of that is just average, and I think that's okay. So know the season you're going all in on. Maybe it's career, maybe it is optimizing your morning routine, maybe it's working on your finances, maybe it's being present with family. Like, do that one thing great and then let other things be average for a bit. You don't have to be great on everything all of the time at all, because I really think the power of average is not a consolation prize. It's not, oh, we couldn't do it, so we'll just take this. It's a choice. And it does require a redesign of the whole system. But when ordinary is genuinely good and seen as enough, when a life without having to be exceptional all of the time exists, there can still be so much meaning and joy and connection and dignity in that, and satisfaction. It's not lowering the bar at all. It's finally building something that's right for you. And until we do this, the success model we are raised on and holding on to will keep producing the same results. It's a minority of people who actually make it, and a majority of people who keep asking, what's wrong with me? I don't think that's okay. So I don't think there's anything wrong with you. I think the system tells us we're not trying hard enough, and I know that that's not true. And so I want to leave you with this. Think about the ordinary moments of your life, the things you do daily on repeat, the unremarkable days and the quiet morning routine that you might have, or the relationships that don't make great stories, but gosh, add so much meaning to your life. Yeah? Not the events or the social gatherings that you have sporadically, but the people that you just enjoy everyday moments with. Are you holding on to these as enough? Because I think when you rethink success at the most personal level, that's where it is. And so we need to be able to look at the ordinary and the beige and the grey in our lives and call it good, call it great, because this is what truly matters when it comes to designing a successful, healthy, happy, and well life. Not the constant optimization and chasing the next thing, but just being where you are in the averageness of the day, because that's what we live on repeat all the time. All right, Dingle, I hope that's given you something to think about. And as always, I'd love to know. So please like, share, tag, do all of the things. And if you need anything, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day, evening, night, whatever time of day it is for you. And I'll see you somewhere soon. Bye.